What's up, my friend? Welcome to the Finding Direction podcast. My name is Stu Massengill, and I'm here every single week to bring you a passionate guest or message dedicated to helping you find your purpose so that you can live a life full of passion, fulfillment, and happiness. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for hanging out with me, and let's dive in. What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another episode here on Finding Direction. As we kick off this week's episode, as always, I hope you are having an unbelievable day. I know sometimes things can get rough in life. Life can be hard sometimes, but I hope you take a moment to center yourself in gratitude for the day. Find one thing today that you truly could be grateful for in your life. It could be a friend that you're just grateful to have in your life. It could be someone in your family that you're grateful. It could be a relationship. It could be something that's happening in your career or your business. It could be that there's fresh air in your lungs. But as we kick today's episode off, I want you to just center yourself in what is one thing truly that you can be grateful for in your life today. When you practice gratitude in a regular manner, it's one of the most effective tools you can have in your life. You hear it from the greats. You've heard it probably on this podcast many, many times. But I just want to give you a gentle reminder today to practice a little bit of gratitude. All right, so what's one thing you can be grateful for? Remember that. And today's episode, what we're going to be diving into is finding your why and implementing it into your life. And this is something, my friend, that is so massively important. What we want to go through today is what is a why first and foremost. We're going to be looking at how do you start to find a why once you know what it is. And then the third part today we want to look at is how do you start using a why in your life, right? It's one thing to know it. It's another thing to actually use it as a tool and a resource in your life. And that's really one of the most powerful things you can do once you learn your why is leverage it in your life. So we're going to dive into all of that today. If you have not yet, make sure you smash that subscribe button so you can hang out with us every single week as we bring you interviews, content, insights on how to create a life full of passion, fulfillment, and happiness. All right, so let's dive in this week, my friend. And the first thing we want to start off with is first and foremost asking ourselves, well, what is a why in general? And if you've been tuning into this podcast for a while, you're probably familiar with the idea of a why. And if you're new to this episode, or if you're new to the idea of a why, or even if you know what a why is, I want to give you a little bit of a refresher. And really what a why is it's the rocket fuel in your life. If you see people that go through tremendous hardships in their life, you see people that accomplish really incredible things, or people that just create a happy life for themselves, a lot of the time, there's a reason, there's a drive, there's almost current behind what they do that pushes them forward. That when they have a hard day, it makes them get out of bed early still. That when they have a setback in life, they keep pushing forward. That even when they achieve something great in their life, they continue to strive for more. The reason that happens is people have a why behind what they do. So the why, again, it's the rocket fuel that propels you to push towards the life that you want to create for yourself. If you don't have a why, it's easy to be unmotivated one day. If you don't have a why, it's easy to, if something bad happens to you, to say, you know what, I'll just do it tomorrow, right? I'll just get to it next week. I'll just get to it next month, right? When was the last time that you maybe said to yourself, I'll do it next day. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. And is it possible that maybe one of the reasons you're doing that, you're saying that, is because you don't have a why that actually anchors you to take action today? Right? If your why is not strong enough, it's easy to push things off till tomorrow. If your why is not strong, it's easy to say, you know what, next month I'll find the job that I actually like. Next month I'll actually, start pursuing a life that I love. It's easy to say that if we don't have a why, but if we have a why that wakes us up, that excites us to create a life that we love, then all of a sudden we wake up and we go, you know what, I can't do it tomorrow. I can't do it next week. I can't do it today. Because of my why. Because if I really believe in this why that I have, which we're going to get you clear on in just a moment, I have to do it today, right? So understand that is what your why is, And what we want to do now is we want to dive into, how do you find your why? How do you find your why? And one thing that you want to understand as we go into this process, and I'm going to walk you through an exercise that I would encourage you to sort of twofold. One, take a journal out after this episode, or even pause it in the middle of the episode and go through this exercise. Or if you have someone around you that you trust, that you can actually go through this exercise and just be like raw, real, and a little vulnerable, a little serious, maybe have someone actually do this exercise with you. And it could also be a really powerful gift that you give to the person that you do it with if they're open to also doing the exercise. All right. But what you want to understand is that as we go through this exercise in a moment, you want to make sure that you find yourself in a heart-centered place, right? I mean, you really want to give yourself some space here, whether it's, journaling and putting on some music for yourself, whether it's doing this exercise with someone else, putting on maybe a little bit of music, lighting a candle, whatever it is. Allow yourself to just get in a place that feels safe, feels where you can just be kind of raw and real. All right. And so what we want to do is, in just a moment, we're going to do an exercise, and I'm going to share with you an exercise that's called the 7 levels of why. And really what it does is it gets you to the core of why do you do what you do. It gets you to that rocket fuel that we were talking about just a moment ago. And so as we dive into this exercise, what I would like you to do so we can start to get in a heart-centered place is, whatever you're doing, I want you to just take a nice deep breath in for a second. So take a nice deep breath in and exhale and let it out. And let's do it 2 more times. Take a nice deep breath in and a nice deep breath out. And then one final time, take a nice deep breath in and take a nice deep breath out. So hopefully you've recentered a little bit as you've taken those few breaths. And the question that you want to begin to ask yourself is, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing with your life? And I want you to answer that question, whatever first comes to mind. Usually the first thing that pops up is the right thing. So allow yourself to give yourself the gift of just going with the first answer. And whatever your answer is, there's now a set of follow-up questions that we want to ask 7 times that's going to get you to the core of your why. And the question is really, really simply this: why is blank important to me? And what you fill in the blank is the answer to your last question, right? So, for example, when I went through this exercise, for me, when I said, why am I doing what I'm doing? My answer was, well, because I want to make as big of an impact as I possibly can. So my follow-up question would be, why is making as big of an impact as possible important to me, right? And then as I start to answer that question, I'm going to get another answer. And then you rinse and repeat and you go through the same process. Now, what you'll notice is it's going to be different for you than it is someone else. If you do it with someone else, everybody has a unique process as they go through the 7 levels of why. And as you go through it, you want to understand that in the beginning, you may have a little surface level. It may be, why are you doing what you're doing? You go, well, I'm working my job because I need to make money. Well, so why is making money important to you? And you go, well, making money is important to me because I need to provide for myself. I need to be able to have a living. Right? So why is providing for yourself and having a living important to you? And you keep asking those questions over and over and over. And what you'll find out is as you get 3, 4, 5, 6, even 7 layers deep, your answers start to get a little deeper. And what you can do is, one thing that I would really encourage you to do is, as you go through this process, and I found myself doing this as I've gone through this process numerous times, is sometimes we can get caught up in a perfectionist mentality. Going, well, I answered why 7 times and that's not really the right one, or I did it and, I don't know if I love that. What you want to understand is, go through this process today, do your 7 levels of why, and sit with that why for a day, for a week. And then after a week, if you're not in love with it, go through the process again. But allow yourself to have a rough draft of your why, because having a rough draft is going to be better than having no draft. All right, so give yourself a little grace as you go through this process, where if it doesn't feel perfect, if it doesn't feel like, something that the greatest writer in the world ever wrote, that's okay. Right? This is a rough draft. This is a process that we go through, and over time, you will refine your why and continue to get clear on a why that really powers you up in your life. All right? So that is the process that you're going to do. What I would encourage you to do is once you have that why, that rough draft, I would encourage you to put it somewhere where you can see it on a regular basis. It could be in a note in your phone that you can go back to regularly. It could be the screensaver of your phone. It could be just a little sticky note that you put on your desk. And that has your why. And every single day you can wake up and look at that and get recharged from that, right? That can be your source of rocket fuel that powers you through the day. All right. So again, you're going to ask yourself, what is your why? Right? Why are you doing what you're doing? And then go through and follow up and say, why is blank important to me? Now, once you get to the core, you go through 7 levels of your why. I want you to ask this one powerful question. And this is going to be how we start implementing and using your why in your life. And this really, my friend, this is where the magic can begin to happen. Because if you find your why and you go, cool, that's my why, I'll put it somewhere I can see it every day, and you just look at it and stare at it and don't do anything with it, it's not going to do as much in your life as it possibly could. Versus if you implement it into a specific place in your life. So the question that you want to ask yourself once you get clear on your why so that you can start implementing it is, where is one area of my life I need to apply my why? Where is one area of my life where I need to apply my why? Is it your career? Is it your relationship? Is it with a business? Is it with a potential side hustle that you want to start? Is it with some other area of your life? But what's one area of your life where you know you need to bring this heart-centered why to? And when you bring it to that area of your life, what you'll notice is you're going to have more rocket fuel, you're going to have more energy, and from that, as a result, you're going to take more action, therefore getting better results in that area of your life. So again, the question you want to ask yourself is, where is one area of my life where I need to apply my why? All right. So that is how you find your why and implement it into your life. Number 1, understand what is a why in general. Number 2, go through the 7 levels of why and get your core why on why you do what you do. That's going to be the rocket fuel for your life. And then finally and thirdly, ask yourself, where is one area of my life where I need to apply my why? Go through this process, and I promise you, my friend, the needle is going to start to move forward in your life. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. I hope, as always, you continue to have an amazing and incredible day, and I would be so grateful if you would share this with a friend. If you have someone that is going through some tough times, if you have someone that's trying to find their direction, trying to find their purpose in their life, send them this episode and say, hey, I thought of you when I was listening to this episode, and I just think maybe this could help you with some of the things we've spoken about recently. And I promise you, they're going to come back to you and they're going to say, thank you for sending me that episode, because once they get clear on their why, just as when you get clear on your why, powerful things start to happen in your life. So send this to a friend. If you have not yet, hit that subscribe button so you can continue to hang out with us. And other than that, my friend, I will talk to you on the podcast soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.